we need the bro. I bought it by the way.
No.
Yes, I bought it. I just don't have it yet. Like it's
slate?
still. Yeah.
Oh.
I bought it
Because I've been doing my little. Let's go.
Let the professor get your mind blown. Laugh at Jimmy, kill it, but on the side though. Mama Ray does his magic on the down low. BBC, you never seen it. In the views, you won't believe it. You can see it on the Cali Esk8 Show.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Carlos, aka the Professor. I'm here with Jimmy.
We got Jimmy.
And today we have a very special guest. We have Eric from Shredlights.
That's right. Eric from Minnesota.
Eric from Minnesota, huh? Not
Thanks for having me on.
Huh?
It's already cold up there, right?
No, not quite yet.
Not quite. Like I would imagine it like to be cold as hell. Like that's up north.
I mean, it's getting to
No,
that time.
in November it'll start to get cold, but October's still somewhat warm there.
That's not bad. You do snowboarding and everything?
Yeah. That's where I learned how to snowboard, yeah.
And did you start skateboarding or did you start snowboarding?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
I think skating first. And then I skied, and my brother snowboarded, and my parents wouldn't let me snowboard at first. They were just like, no, you gotta keep skiing. So I did that for a while, and then started snowboarding. Yeah, I think skating first.
How do you got to San Diego? Like, you're from Minnesota. That's a huge jump.
Like I said, I grew up skating and snowboarding there, and it was kind of random. Like one of my best friends, Danny, that I grew up with there, had an aunt in San Diego, and I was in high school at lunch, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to San Diego to look at colleges for spring break." This was like junior year, and I didn't really have any, plan for where I wanted to go to college yet. And he was like, "You want to go with me?" And I was like, "Sure." Check out San Diego. I'd never been here. And so we planned a trip to come out and basically just like skated and surfed the whole trip. And then we saw SDSU and everyone was like riding around on skateboards, babes everywhere, palm trees. And I was like, all right, like,
That's area to be.
I'll do whatever it takes to come to this place. So then I went home, I told my parents, and they were like, hell no, you're not moving to San Diego. They weren't that bad. They weren't that negative, but they were like, yeah, sure. But didn't think I was actually that serious. And so I just started grinding in school. And I think I got like a 4.0 like my last 2 or 3 years of high school. Because I was like, I got the goal. So I'll do whatever it takes. So that helped. And then, just
Is that what convinced them?
No, it's kind of funny actually. So I have 3 older brothers, and they all went to school in Minnesota, a place called Duluth, which is like 2 hours north. Super fucking cold there.
It sounds cold.
I mean, Minnesota just associated snow, cold.
It sounds cold.
By the mountains.
I came to San Diego with 15 jackets and used none of them.
No, I didn't.
Sounds cool, bro. They were going to college over there, or what?
All 3 of them went there, yeah. So they're a little older, so 2 of them already graduated and 1 was there. So I went to visit them, and obviously my parents thought maybe he'll go there, or I could like the U of M, or maybe like Colorado, or I don't know, like somewhere not that far.
Right.
And then senior year came around, and I applied to SDSU and got in, and then I applied to USD and UCSD, and they were like, great, like what Minnesota schools are you applying to? And I lied to them for like 6 months and told them that I applied to like University of Minnesota in Duluth and everything. And I'd already gotten to other schools, and they were harder to get into. So I could have gotten into them, but I purposely just didn't apply. And it was like, my parents were like, you for sure got to go to college. So then I waited until like May or June, and then it was like 3 months away. And then I was like, so I only got into 3 schools, and they're all in San Diego. So if you want me to go to college, then I have to move to San Diego because I didn't apply or get into any colleges in Minnesota.
Bro.
And they were like, you little shit, but like, well played.
Yeah.
So then they're like, all right, I guess you're going to San Diego.
Bro, what? Hey.
So I just like made sure there was no chance. Because I knew if I applied to U of M, like my parents are very supportive, and I don't think that was the only way to go. But I think I would have had that like decision to make then. And I would
Right.
have had the guilt, like, should I move away from my family? So I was like, all right, I gotta like force myself because I know I'll regret it if I just go to school like an hour away or something.
Definitely.
But I think my parents would have supported me either way. But I just like was kind of just making sure that.
But it's
That's an
wild.
option.
It's wild. Like for me,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. Like living your whole life in one place and then decided to go to college. You don't have a job. You don't have nothing. You're just going to this place and starting from zero, and you're 18 years old. You know, like
Yeah.
that's scary. You know, and you went like.
I did have
Fuck it.
two friends. So
Yeah,
my friend
okay.
that I came and visited with, Danny, him and I were roommates freshman year, and then his aunt was actually a professor at STSU. So she was like my San Diego mom. So she would
Nice.
like every month she'd make me come into her office and like look at my schedule, check my grades. Like she was like on it. So that was really helpful, and it made me kind of feel like welcome here and a little more comfortable. And then I had another friend, Nico, too. So I had like some friends that I came with.
Nice.
So that helped a ton. I think if I
Okay,
was
so
like
you
totally
didn't-
alone, it would
okay.
have been a lot harder.
But there's a lot of people that do that, though, like in
Totally.
the States.
Definitely.
San Diego's known for traveling for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
absolutely.
So at what point, like, did you kind of like rush into the Shredlights, you know,
That is an
idea?
interesting story, yeah.
You
How
know,
did you
when
come
did
into-
when did this happen? You know?
Yeah.
When did the
so
light bulb?
Yeah.
I
When did the light turn on?
We got another beer. I'm getting, you know.
yeah, grab me one of those too.
We're flowing, we're flowing.
Yeah, do a Paloma.
Yeah. You
These are
notice that
good, by
it's
the
turned
way.
around. We don't know what
These
this
are
is.
like tequila and grapefruit and other natural flavors. These things are really good.
We switched. She was supposed to have the White Claw.
We'll move on, don't worry. Paloma's
I'm
much
the guest.
better.
I'm gonna pick the first one.
This is stacked for a reason.
Yeah, if you're thinking about coming on the Cali Esk8 podcast, I can already recommend it. Jimmy and Kyle are already my great hosts.
Appreciate that. We try to do our best.
You hear that? He's not saying because he's.
Because they gave me beer. That's why I'm saying
Yeah,
that is the reason.
We didn't pay him off. There's no money exchange in this podcast.
Oh man. So the Shredlights light bulb idea.
Yeah, I didn't think of it. I didn't come up with Shredlights. I didn't start it.
Right.
I think
Really?
that's, yeah. Did you know that?
No,
Oh, really?
that's actually why I wanted to know the beginning. That's my
Yeah.
interest. And you think like outside looking in, you don't know you know, and there's nothing really that I've seen that's posted to say, hey, here's my story, here's how I began, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely like the main one in all the videos, so I think like I get a lot more credit than, not necessarily, I don't know how to say it, but like I'm the one in all the videos, so it makes sense people like put my face to Shredlights, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes that have helped make it happen that just don't want to be on camera. So
I
it's like,
know.
it's not like I'm doing everything by myself.
I mean, you
It's
can't
like,
But you do
business
a
by
lot.
yourself.
And
I
that's-
do
that-
do a
and
lot.
This is your
Like,
part. This is one of your parts.
Yeah,
you
I've
know?
definitely, put in my time at Shredlights. But yeah, I did not start it. I started getting into like entrepreneurship, small business stuff in Minnesota. So one of my friends that I moved out here with, him and I would go to thrift stores in Minnesota and find Air Jordans. And he was
Nice.
super into them. I wasn't at all. And we were like in Goodwill, just like wasting time. This used to be a thing when I was like first getting into smoking weed in high school. It'd be like super cold out and we couldn't go to like our parents' house or something because we were like trying to keep it on the down low.
Right.
And so we just like get a little stoned and then have nowhere to go. So then we started going to thrift stores because it was just like something to do.
Something to do.
You used to hang out in the thrift store. Why that? Doesn't Michael Moore has a song of the thrift shop?
Malgamore, yeah, that came out like
Yeah.
2 years after.
No
dude.
way.
We were ahead of the game. So we were in this thrift store, and my buddy's like going nuts at the shoe section. Like, bro, these are like some Air Jordans, and I'm like, all right, what the hell are those? Like, I wear Vans. I don't really know anything about this. So they were like $5.99 or something. And basically, like, long story short, we found a lot of fake ones, but we did find some real ones, and we have no idea how they would get there. I think people just didn't recognize them. So I like learned how to like studied up, figured out what all my retros were, like 1 through 23. Figured out how to like identify them if they're real or fake and stuff in the store. And then over like 2 years, probably made like $3 or $4 grand.
Bro, you were
Nice.
hustling,
Buying
bro.
and
That is called
selling.
hustle,
Dude,
okay?
that
is
yeah.
hustling.
That's not a small grind either. That's a
No,
long
it was
grind.
sick.
Side
Like
hustle.
repainting them. But at the same time, I had my first job, which was at a pizza and hoagie place. So hoagies are Midwest. You know what a hoagie is?
No, I don't.
It's a hot sub, but we call them hoagies in
Yeah.
Minnesota, in the Midwest.
They're around here, but they're not as known. There's a few
Yeah.
places, yeah.
So I'd work at this place. I think my starting wage was like $6.50 or $7 or something, and I'd work like 6-hour shifts, and it was like hard work. I was getting yelled at and stuff, and I'd work like a 6-hour shift, and it's like, oh, I made like $40, and it's like that sucked. Like that was like
Yep.
a lot of work and really stressful for like $40. And then I would, after my shift at like 8 o'clock, I would go straight to the thrift store before they closed at 8:30, and so I always had that like 30-minute window to try and rush over there. And then go in, and like sometimes I'd find like $100 pair of J's.
Damn.
And then I'd be like, shit, I just made more money doing that.
Right.
And it was way faster, and it was like exciting. And sometimes, my odds were pretty low. Like, maybe 5-10% of the time I was finding something. So there's a lot of trips where I wouldn't find anything. But it kind of like got me thinking like, I don't really want to just be like working a job just for money. Like this is way cooler. And
Right.
I kind of realized that like it's more about how much value you can provide versus like time. And I was like,
Efficiency.
making pizzas and
Yeah.
hoagies, like, there's only so much I can do. And like, yeah, maybe I can get a raise every 6 months. Or like, if I go to every thrift store in Minnesota in a weekend, now I just massively increase my odds. Or like, I can figure out how to game this.
So this
So-
was your main job. You
Yeah, it
left
sounds
your
like
job to do this?
No, I was doing
Oh, I was
Yeah.
like, damn, you went all out on that.
Yeah.
Well,
one.
because a lot of times, like, it started to get worse. Like, at the beginning, we'd find a bunch of Jordans, but as we started finding more, we kind of, like, there's started to be less to find. So then I started, like, going on Facebook groups and Craigslist and stuff and buying them and just trying to flip them more, because that was more reliable.
Craigslist was shady as
Craigslist
hell,
was-
man.
But that's where you get the
Yeah.
deals.
That's where you got the deal. Craigslist was
I
where
would
it's
go
at.
and it'd be like $200 for this pair, and then I'd get there and you spend like 10 minutes looking at them and be like, oh, these got the little scuff. I'll give you like 140,
Right.
and then I'd like lowball them and then get a deal and then put them on eBay for like 300. And I would just start doing that because that was more consistent than thrift stores.
You
So
were a
then-
businessman.
Straight
Totally.
up.
That's what I'm getting at. That's the whole point of the
How
story.
old
Is
were
like I
you?
started thinking about this. This was I was like 16.
16, you were hustling people.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, because
man.
I had that job and I was
Well,
like,
he wasn't hustling people. He was hustling, the thrift stores.
yeah,
Really?
anyone. So when I moved to San Diego, I was like, I kind of tried to do that here, but the scene here was like way more legit, and there was tons of people doing the same thing, like flipping.
Oh, really?
Because the thrift store thing was just like
Yeah.
blind luck. So like, like I'm saying, like most of the time you're not going to find anything, so you can't really like scale it or rely on it. So flipping them was where it's at. And then once I got here, it was like tons of people were trying to flip them, and the whole time I like didn't really. I kind of liked wearing them, but not really. Like I was
Yeah.
a skater and snowboarder, so it was kind of just a business. So when I got to SCSU, I was like, I think I want to try and turn this into like a website and like start my own version of eBay, basically, that's focused on reselling Air Jordans. So I joined the Entrepreneurship Society and got into this startup incubator called the Zip Launchpad, and started working on my idea. And my first company was called the Steez Depot. That was my time. So Steez, if you don't know, it means style and ease.
Right.
And then I was thinking like the Home Depot where you're getting shit for your home, the Steez Depot where you get stuff for your style.
That's actually pretty
How-
clever.
Right? I was like,
That's
this is
actually
gonna be
pretty
so
clever.
How
dope.
long did it take you to like come up with this idea?
I don't know, not that long.
No?
And then I
Yeah, all
probably
that weed.
wasn't-
I mean, it just really
Yeah.
came to me.
Yeah, I'm smoking a lot of weed.
I got
today.
it. I got one, boss.
No, it was dope. I took like, have you ever seen like the NASA patches from the different missions? You know, they have like unique patches. That was my whole aesthetic. So like my whole logo was like all these cool like spaceship things and stuff. It was
Interesting.
sick.
Bro,
But I
That's
you
a
got
good
you got pictures of those?
somewhere.
I gotta see those. Like,
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
away,
there's
like
some sick
later
figures.
on.
Send them
yeah.
to him, and we'll post it on the little screen
yeah,
in the
yeah,
background.
see if we can get them up here.
Yeah,
You see,
absolutely.
it's awesome.
So I
Absolutely.
started grinding on this project, and this was like second month of school. So I was a freshman, and instantly was like, all right, like class is all right, but I'm still trying to like do this business thing.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I came in as a civil engineer. That was the other part to come out here is like my parents really wanted me to do engineering. So I picked civil engineering, but I knew I didn't want to do it.
Oh, right.
So it was again just kind of like a play to make them agree to let me come out here. So then like a month into school, I switched to film. And I was
Did they know?
No, I didn't tell them for like 6 months. Well, I was like doing civil engineering and it was like, you're designing like roadways and sidewalks. And I was
When
like,
did
this
you
is so
tell them
fucking boring.
about all of this? When you graduated? Like,
No, I would tell them. I would always wait and see how something panned out, and then a lot of things that didn't pan out, I wouldn't tell them about.
He's like, I
And then
just
if it started going well, then I'd tell them.
I was successful
Yeah,
every
exactly.
time I talked to him. Every time I talked to him.
Yeah. So I tried not to like.
ooh, I ain't gonna
And
do
it wasn't
that
because I was
one.
trying to like lie to him. I just didn't want to like stress him out.
Right.
So I was kind of like, I'll test it, and then if it doesn't work, like I don't want them to. I don't want my mom stressing about that.
Right.
Like, oh, he's picking a shitty career. Like, she doesn't need to stress about that. So, yeah, I was working on Steve's Depot, and I like learned how to make my first website, and it was really shitty. But I like learned how to like make some graphics, and I was just like
Right.
just super ambitious and just like going for it. And then I realized like 6 months in, like, all right, like basically my goal was to make like an eBay where customers could create their own accounts, list their own products, and then my like secret sauce was gonna be like verification software that could like, there'd be like a test that people could do with like their phone or something to like verify if their shoes are real. Because that was like a big problem buying shoes on eBay because you never knew if they were real. So that was my idea, is like I'll build the website and then I'll figure out how to like patent some sort of software or something that makes it so people can verify if they're real. But I'm like 18 and I'm like realizing like this is so much bigger than
Bro, at 18.
like this
I
will
wasn't
be
even,
so hard.
I wasn't thinking
I
that.
wasn't thinking about none of that, bro.
I was trying to build an empire.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I was trying to make $1, but not that way.
I was like, shit, I gotta
Well,
figure
part of the
this
deal was to come out here. Like my parents had saved some money for tuition, and they're, you know, thank God, were able to pay for some of my college. But that's why they wanted me to stay in state, is because in-state tuition was so much cheaper. So they were like, if you go out of state, like we're not going to pay anymore. You got to just cover the difference. So I think that's what kind of instilled that mindset. Was like, as soon as I started taking classes, it was like the clock's ticking, because now I'm like, I'm gonna have to pay for all this.
Yep.
So I was thinking like, all right, how do I get that going now while I'm, you know, still paying for tuition? How do I get that rolling? But yeah, basically I was trying to build this thing, and then I just started losing steam and realizing how hard it was, and that like again I just didn't really care that much about Air Jordans. But meanwhile I was skating from my dorm to class and skating all over campus like all the time. And so one day I was leaving the Zip launch pad, and I like literally walked out the door, and there's a poster on the wall for Shredlights. And I was like, huh, like, that's a pretty sick idea. And now for like 6 months I've been trying to do my own idea, so I'd learned a lot more about entrepreneurship and how to like validate if an idea is good or not. And so I kind of was like in the perfect frame of thinking, and it's like literally I like walked into the poster, and I was like, that's dope. Like I kind of want some, and like that's a really good idea. I've been skating, you know, my whole life, and like in Minnesota I used to longboard at my friend's house all the time in the dark. So I was like perfect like victim
I know.
to like come into it. So I emailed the dude whose name's Drew, and he was a street skater, and I was like, hey, can I buy some Shredlights? And that was like my first message, was like, I wanted to buy some. I thought they were dope. And at that time it was just headlights. And he was like, oh, we don't really have a product yet. We'll let you know when you can buy them. So I'm like, all right, well, like I'm kind of trying to start my own company, but I'm not really digging it. So like, is there any way I can help out? And he was like, oh, we actually need a website. Do you know anyone that can make a website? And I'm like,
You're like, actually,
check this out. StevesDepot.com.
Reference check mark.
And it all kind of clicked, and it was like such a sick coincidence how like I just wasted 6 months, I thought, working on the wrong idea, but I'd actually learned how to make a website, and I had a website to show him, and it was perfect timing. So I showed him the Steve's Depot site.
the stars aligned.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
here it is. And he was like, dude, that's awesome. And I was like, no fucking way. Like,
You went, really?
that's crazy, yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I needed that validity.
So he was like, yeah, I'll pay you $80 to design the Shredlights website. And that's how I started.
Damn.
So then it took me like 3 months and I started working on that. And meanwhile, him and Kyle were working on the product. Yeah, and that's how I first found it and first got involved. So I was just like an annoying freshman. Just showed up, and I basically just kept showing up to meetings, minding my own business, taking notes, trying not to bug them or bother them. And after like 6 months of just showing up to every meeting on time, and just not trying to get in the way, they were kind of like, all right, Eric, you can stay around. Like, you can start doing more stuff. But yeah, besides just the website. So
nice, bro. Like, that's crazy. No, I'll tell you, whenever like I got into the electric skateboard kind of like idea that I actually find out that they exist, like I was like, shit, like this is a thing? Like, but afterwards, like you see on the same page that they're selling lights, right? They're Shredlights, and I'm like, no way. I'm like mind blown over here. Everything rushed through because I didn't know that electric skateboards were a thing, and neither I knew that there were lights for skateboards.
Yeah.
So I was like mind blown, like for like days, like, and I call my brother. It's like, bro, they have lights for skateboards.
This guy.
Like, bro, I was mind blown. I'm telling you.
I saw them at the first group ride. At the first group ride with STE Skate, it was a night ride at Liberty Station. And I met up and I was like, dude, I got no lights. Like, how did you guys get all these lights? And then you were actually sponsoring that event.
Nice.
And so from then on, I was like, dude, I got to get these lights. And I was just like looking into the mounts, like looking into the company. I was like, I don't even know what to get. I think I got like SL 200s at the time. It was way back in the day.
You came in?
I came in early. Yeah.
That
So
was like COVID time.
I came in late. I
right
came in with the
beginning of COVID.
300s.
No, I got the 200s, and then I just got the 1000s at EskateCon, because I was like, dude, I got to get brighter lights. Like, this is affecting me. Like, I got it. I'm going faster. I got to get further lights so I can see these cracks.
Yeah, it's the speed.
Yeah,
bro.
the speed. You got it. You got to have
it's
further
the speed,
lights.
because like you want to see way ahead. Like, because I don't know, you're just going fast, and coming from the skateboard like mindset, like you were always afraid of that small pebble.
Yep.
That could be there.
Totally.
Like that was like, bro, you were flying.
Dude, so Drew, how he claims, I don't know, Drew's a funny dude. He claims how he thought of Shredlights is he went to go pick up a 40, and he was skating away from the store, and he hit a crack and fell and broke his 40, and he was laying on the ground, and a car came up, and the car's headlights lit up the crack that he just fell on. And then he was like, boom! And like, that was the light bulb moment for Shredlights.
It was like, bam,
and he was like,
boom.
now I can see the crack. And he was like, why don't I have headlights on my board? So he was the mad scientist.
That's interesting.
So when I came in, he already had the whole idea. They actually had like a napkin sketch of the first logo. His girlfriend designed the first logo. So it was already like somewhat together. And,
Nice.
when I joined. So I wasn't there for that. But
that's
how it
a
first
small
came about.
idea. A small idea, from a very bad situation. Well, it wasn't that bad, but he fucked up himself. You know? But, came in this idea that, paved all the way, like, to what it is now.
But yeah, I think like the biggest thing with Shredlights is the electric skateboarding. Like Shredlights would not be around if it was just for skating. Like we were, that was like, once we finally had our first prototypes, we were basically just buying flashlights off Alibaba and then 3D printing casings for them. And they all broke. It was just a matter of time. So we would just buy a bunch of them, and then we go to the skate park with like a bunch of backup sets. And you like knew they were gonna break. So it'd be like, try and like skate really lightly. And then someone would be like, what are those? And you'd be like, yeah, check it out. They're really durable. And then like swap it out for another one real quick. Because they weren't like made for that.
Right.
And that's what we knew we had to figure out. But all the skaters were like, well, fuck that. Like, I don't want to put anything on my board. That's so lame. And like, people were just hating on the internet. Like, It was just pure
Why
failure.
hating? Like, I don't understand. Like, as
This is how
like,
skaters are, dude.
yeah, it's
they don't like
why?
change. They don't like change.
Bro, those are lights.
I think though it
you
was
can ride at
genuine. Like,
night.
no, because if you're street skating, you don't need them. You really don't. And I think there's something to be said about like, a lot of people come in and try and make money off something that they don't really know, and it's like if you're skating a ledge or something, you don't want headlights on your board. You want a light, like a floodlight,
Right.
And you want it on the spot, and that's what they did. So it was like us trying to be like, oh, these headlights will allow you to skate the skate park after dark. So then
Yeah.
you try it, but then
Through
like
and back.
it didn't help.
Yeah.
So I think it was a gimmick for street skating. So I get it, and like as a street skater myself, like I never use Shredlights on my street skateboard. It just doesn't work. It's not a good matchup.
So back then when you do tricks on the skateboard, did it have any problems? Like, like maybe doing a kickflip or something like that?
Dude, actually, my buddy's super good, and he was doing hard flips. And when you do a hard flip, it's like a
It goes up and
kick flip and
Right.
a backside shove it, and the lights go perfectly up. And when you're doing flip tricks, you're looking down. So he was like, bro, every time we do a hard flip, I like stare right into the headlights. Right. And he was like, this sucks. And it was like, it's just not a good fit. So we tried to do that for a while, but like they weren't just hating to hate. They were right. Like people don't need headlights. And that's why like is established as Shredlights is 8 years later, no street skaters use our product still. Because it
That's
just doesn't
true.
make sense. Like you don't need them for that.
Right.
So then electric skateboard is really like what was a much better fit, and that's why that's
Right.
what we focus on now, and we don't focus
It
on
makes
street
sense
skaters.
here.
It makes way more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
You need it more, and it makes more of a difference,
Right.
I think that's like one of the biggest takeaways from Shredlights that is really fulfilling is like, you got to deliver a good product.
Right.
Like, you can always cut corners and, try and make stuff cheaper or like make it less quality. But at the end of the day, like, your product in customers' hands is everything.
Right.
And like, Shredlights really took off at the beginning because we were making a good product and people spread it and we had that word of mouth and stuff. But nowadays it's like, if you got money to throw down on Facebook ads, people sell like totally random stuff. It's shit, especially on Amazon. And I don't know, like that never sat well with me. So I think it's like, it's cool that there is still a place to make quality stuff.
Right.
And people do care about that. And like someone can be all hyped about like, hey, I got a great deal on this thing. And then they
Yeah.
use it and it's shit. And then they stop talking about it. Or if someone pays a little more and then they can use it for a year or two, they're like, this is a legit product, no matter what it is. So I think like that's kind of where e-skate, we really found that like product market fit.
Right.
Where it was like, people need headlights. We got the best headlight design. And at that time, it still needed a lot of improvements. But it was the best available. And people put it on just like you and were like, they got headlights for these things? Mounts for the board, they put it on and they're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that
it's
was
easy
like,
too. It's just straightforward. You pull
Yeah.
on and off.
Bro,
it's
I
just
was
so-
putting them in, and I showed my brother, look how it looks, bro. Like, I was so excited, like, bro, I'm telling you, like, I was mind blown. Like, I really like my lights.
I don't think my mounts ever came off once I put them on. They
They
stayed
were
on the
like
board
mine,
permanently after that.
Yeah,
Like, they're on
mine
there.
the same thing. No, but I wanted to tell you, I'm also a hustler,
Yeah, big
I,
time.
Yeah.
I've been, kind of like infiltrating into Shredlights.
He's a spy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a spy for me.
yeah.
You have no
yeah.
idea.
You don't know what's coming.
It's been happening for
Okay,
about 6 months to a year already.
Yeah, we needed a company that had, the balls, to do
Okay.
crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
to really
you know.
kind of put some
Yeah.
competition to spread lights.
So
to
I
Shred
came
lights.
up with my own lights, Yeah. So you better get ready for this competition.
all right.
Yeah, let me show you.
Yeah, we already got it designed. by
Oh,
the
you
way.
got a prototype?
Yeah.
You're not ready for this. Bro, you're not ready for this.
I'm excited. Oh.
I present you the light sacks. Come on, grab them.
Let me see.
They're
There we go. See?
Oh.
So you can put your balls in the face of everybody who's following you.
You come up on someone and just throw a little whack, slap them with your nuts.
As you tickle it more, it gets
it's gonna stick,
brighter.
bro. It's gonna stick.
We gotta get a close up for this.
See?
Carlos's sick
Come
mind
on,
at
man.
work.
Light sacks, okay? Light sacks.
But then what happens when you set the board down?
it
You gotta be
hangs
careful.
off.
See, you don't wanna.
Sometimes it hangs to the left, sometimes to the right, but it's usually there.
But like on a longboard, dude, if you don't want to jam your nuts under the deck, you know.
I mean, it is what it is at that point. You know?
We're still testing and designing. We're still
When you're riding, they just drag.
That's the whole idea.
Oh yeah, they just drag.
Because you have big balls, you know?
Yeah.
You want to let them know.
Some people have smaller ones. There's different designs.
Only for
different-
hotboards, okay? Only
Yeah.
for hotboards. Don't do this. Don't do this on a belt drive, okay?
Yeah.
It's gonna go crazy with your
What do you got a name for them? What are you calling these things?
light sacks.
Light
I'm telling you, man, it's gonna stick.
Dude,
Turn your light sack off.
Oh my god,
You're gonna run out of juice.
bro. I think they just broke.
One time use.
That's why you don't. That's why we're still new, okay? We're still
Yeah,
new.
we're still designing.
We're still
Things
new.
are still.
But
still
they
progressing.
work. They still, we're gonna test their durability now, and their
That's hilarious.
battery power. But yeah.
That is
Okay,
hilarious.
so going back, so what's next for Shredlights now?
Like from here in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing this year is the app. So that's been, since we first started making them in like 2014, I have pictures of like making mock-ups of controlling your lights from a phone. Like
2014.
9 years ago, yeah.
Dang.
Because like 9 years ago, it was 2014, so like there was a lot of app-controlled products. So what we knew it was possible, but we just didn't have the resources to make it happen. So this year it's been super exciting. I feel like it's kind of like we summited the mountain of electric skateboard lights,
Right.
at least in terms of like the Shredlights form factor of like the removable, separately powered form factor. Having them Bluetooth controlled from the app has always been, in our eyes, like the pinnacle of what you could do with that design. So that's been really sick. The last one in the lineup is the SL1000 Plus. So been fine tuning that. You guys were helping me with the LED temp. Shout out to Ray, the color temperature specialist.
The man behind the camera.
He was
The man
very
behind the camera.
technical about it too.
We're testing some different LED
Whoa.
temperatures last week, but
He was dropping numbers on that thing. I was lost
Me
in
and
this
Carlos, like I said,
explanation, bro. I didn't
we don't
know
know
what was
very
going on.
much. We're gonna.
I was like, I just let him, just wing it out for now, just.
Ray knows lights.
But yeah, but that's.
Yeah, so just completing the wireless lineup, and then I think one of the coolest parts about Shredlights has always been like you can use them on other stuff. So we originally made the quick release mounting system because we were street skating and we were like, you don't want to have the lights on during the day because you want to minimize weight. And then now electric skateboarders leave their lights on all the time.
Right.
But the quick release has now enabled us to use the same lights on a helmet or a bike, one wheel, all these different applications. So I think that's definitely where I'd like to go next. I think electric skateboarding was like our first, product in PEV to make lights for. But now, since 2016 when we first got into it, we've seen so many more personal electric vehicles come out, and people start on an e-board and then buy a one wheel, buy a Suron, buy an EUC, e-scooter. Like there's so many different options now, and most people are still just using like bike lights or going on Amazon and finding random lights. So I think my vision is to really take Shredlights into that bigger realm of like we are
Right.
all PEV lighting and not be limited to just the products we have now.
Right.
So like my vision and dream would be to turn Shredlights into like almost like Amazon or like Craft and Ride for one wheel,
Right.
where we have like 20 or 30 different light models,
Yep.
and one's like the best for one wheel, one's the best for e-skate, one's the best for a helmet, and it's kind of like your one-stop shop for PEV lights, and there's tons of different options on there. But stay focused on night riding.
Yeah, I see it. I see it because like we've been posting videos like so you got the helmet one. Look at helmet lights. You know, you look at lights on your Prius. You know. We got
kind of like back to what I was saying with street skating, where they're not useful. Like there's definitely limitations to having lights mounted on your board, and it's logical. Like when you're riding 30 miles an hour, like just having two, even if you have 10,000 lumen lights on the front of your board, like they're mounted so low that you need lights mounted higher up, and there's just no way around it. So it's like. That's kind of what's exciting though, is like how else can we like actually improve the experience? I think that's like the core of what's super important, is like going to actually use the lights. And it's like, yeah, if you take the SL300s and you're riding 35 miles an hour, like they're not doing enough. They're not going to be bright enough. Right. So instead of trying to like convince people that they are, it's like, no, okay, how do we like actually make something that's going to fulfill that gap? So I think there's always going to be more product development that could be done that makes it so it's like you're just as confident riding at night as you are during the day.
And then actually, it's not just the headlights or the tail lights. You get your FX products now too, to where you're spicing up your lights. I know for me, Evolve Haitian is one of the decks I have, and the lighting system is actually what attracted me to it. Cool. So in my new boards, obviously with the Pathfinder, the Metro Board Pathfinder, I don't have those lights, but I thought about getting the FX lights to be able to hook up to it, because that's something I really enjoy and something I like to look at.
Making it your own,
100%, and so that it's not just headlights, it's actually customization, and that's obviously going to probably progress more in the future as well. Yeah. And of course the Bluetooth features that you have set up with that are actually extremely nice. Very useful to hit just one and all of them turn on. You're not going to each light. I know on the SL300s, the lighting system, the buttons are sometimes confusing, but just to hit one light, have and kick on. I think that was one of the most genius things that I've seen from the company in a long time. Just that connectivity and just functionality is really key to where you guys are progressing.
That's the thing. Like, I think this is the company that is most in touch with their customers, because Eric actually comes to the rides. Eric actually talks to us.
Yep.
He asks us questions. We tell them, what would be great. And this happens a lot. Like, I don't know, I hate going one by one and turning them all, and okay, let me fix that, So it's always like a quick, like, let me,
I always find that funny. People, like, I surprise people. Like, once they know I'm from Shredlights, they'll feel like really like afraid to tell me what they don't like about them. And then once I'm like, no, like I want to hear what you don't like. Like people leave reviews. I know what people like I really want to hear what you don't like. And then once they realize that like I actually want to hear that, you can tell they're like, okay, here's like a whole list of things I want. And it's like, that's the exciting part.
You remember when you
tell me what's wrong with them.
When you show me the motion.
You're going nuts.
It's like, I gotta show you something. It's like, okay, and the light was off, the SLFX. It was off.
It's sitting on the desk.
Yeah, and it went like boom, and it turned on. It's like, no way. I was like, I walked out. I was like, no way. No. What? I was mind blown, bro.
It was so funny because our development team was working on it, and I was telling Kyle like the day before. Basically, we were trying to figure out how to like minimize power consumption with the Bluetooth signal, and so he's like, we're gonna put an accelerometer in it. So I'm like, okay, you can detect motion then. So I'm like, well, we should have a feature where they just automatically turn on when they detect motion. So if you like pick up your board, your lights just turn on. And he was like, yeah, like that sounds kind of cool. And like, he wasn't skeptical, but he wasn't like
convinced.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, this is gonna be awesome. So then when you came in the next day, they had just tested it, and we weren't gonna like necessarily do it yet. And I'm like, all right, we gotta show this to Carlos. Let's see what he thinks. And then he bangs on the table, and Carlos goes nuts, and I'm looking at Kyle, and I'm like, dude, I knew it. I told you this was like,
bro,
proof of concept.
That's a game changer for me. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it.
That helped a lot to make it happen.
I guess like I am like my expressions. It's like
and he doesn't just tell like you. I mean, he goes outside. I mean, he told me especially when he first got the product. I mean, he's out there showing me. He's very passionate about your company in general. It's actually inspiring. It's the product is good. He's inspired by it, and
I think it's just cool that like we're able to have an open door. Like I don't even know what you were coming by for that day.
Yeah,
But
I
like if
remember.
anyone comes into our office, it's like they can look around and see everything. Like we don't have like secret areas with black cloth over or something. Like we probably get, I don't know, a few customers every week that come in for a warranty or to buy something, and it's always like, what do you think of this prototype or this design? And they're always like, oh, like I can see it and stuff like that. Like, so I think it's really fun to be able to do that, and people don't expect it. Like they expect to come into like a store kind of, and then they come in and it's like a mess, and there's just 3D prints everywhere and prototypes everywhere, and we're like, yeah, we like really want your feedback on this stuff. I think it's cool to like, welcome people in. It's like, hey, you can tell us some feedback today that may get implemented down the road, and it's like your feedback today really makes a difference.
And that's what makes Shredlights so special,
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
it's like it's the lights have become what we need, like
Yeah.
like the motion sensor, the SLFX, the if you need helmet lights, like all it's everything that we need, like in order to, I don't know, feel more confident or,
comfortable riding at night
Yeah.
in general. I mean, I just without lights, and I don't have lights right now, so we're gonna be talking after the show, and honestly about setting up some lights on the board.
I got a discount for you.
I know, right? Remember that Cali Esk8 show I took you on that one day? But yeah, I mean that's for me is something that is lacking, and I haven't been able to record at night right now because of the fact that I need a light. So I'm putting away the camera, I'm busting out the flashlight, and for me, I'm like, I'm losing a whole portion of my videography right now because I don't have these lights. So
Yeah,
there is
can
a
record the
necessary
night
thing
footage.
for it. It sounds very minimal, but it really is hugely important just to have some lighting. It's so important.
Totally, and like on that note, like it's so important that you ride with any lights, and if that just means like taking your phone out and turning your flashlight on, I know you're not doing that, but like if you want to try night riding, like don't do it without any lights. Like that, it's so sketchy, especially if you're riding near any cars. So like whatever you can afford, whatever you find, whatever you already have at your house, just get some sort of lights on you. Yeah. I'm curious for you guys. What do you guys think about day rides versus night rides? What's the pros and cons of each, in your opinion?
For me, I think riding at night, you got less cars. That for me is really nice. You're able to take over the street. Maintaining a group ride is a lot easier. I enjoy the lights in general. For me, I got the helmet lights.
Adds kind of another factor to it.
Yeah, for me,
Bro,
it's just so entertaining to see the variety that you'll get out of people.
People wear different like light up costumes
Yeah,
and stuff too.
yeah.
It's not
It's-
just
You know,
It's
I
so
like
unique.
the vibe at night, bro. Like it's like everybody. I don't know. You like whenever you do it down here in San Diego and you go through the gas lamp. Everybody's partying. But we come through. Like with the lights and everybody's like, oh shit. Like. So it calls the attention of people. So it's like kind of like that vibe. The energy. I don't know. Like
more
I
on
just-
display. Yeah.
Yes. So I definitely like more the night rides than the daytime rides.
Yeah, I think I agree. I do like the empty streets, but I mean sunset sunny rides like in the summer it is nice too, but it does suck how much more crowded it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hotter. You can't wear your jackets.
It's hotter.
There's
The
protection.
protectors.
You gotta imagine
yeah.
I roll with so much stuff. I feel like per ride is like riding at night. You're not worrying about the heat or anything. You're wearing.
I feel like
certain gear.
ideal is like an hour before sunset. So like a lot of the rides we've done with SD Esk8 where we'll like meet up Balboa right around sunset. So then you get that you get to see sunset while you're riding.
Right.
We stop and charge, get food, and then you do the night ride on the way back.
Right.
That's like my favorite because then you kind of get half and half.
Right. No, I really like that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's like then you can get those shots as the
The sunset shots are always bright.
yeah.
Always good. Always good.
Yeah, the California sunset.
Ooh,
Nice.
kind of reddish and shit.
Very, very hard to
What do you guys think if we do some questions. We answered some questions from
The community.
the community.
As long as they're nice questions.
Oh, some of them are.
Ooh, I
We
don't
won't say them all.
know. I don't know. Yeah, I
Be
got
prepared.
some-
We could
I got
take a
some
minute
people.
before you
You
go.
already pulled the light sack on me out of
The
nowhere.
light sack.
Yeah, hey.
You got the
That-
light sacks in your face.
I saw you playing around with them for a while there. Didn't seem like you're too upset.
Those things are funny. I have a set of those too.
Do you?
Not the light sack.
Of
call it
course,
something else.
of course, the Shredlights. You know.
I got every light in the book.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. First one. I guess I'm really read this out to you exactly how he throw it out there. He's like, thoughts about making all lights have swappable batteries.
Kind of extend the life of the battery.
Yeah.
rather
He says it would make them more serviceable when the batteries are inevitably get old, and would allow us riders to ride for longer with spare batteries on hand.
Yeah, no, we've looked a lot into this. It is a great idea. Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the struggles of owning a business is you could always make something better, but you have to figure out like what's realistic. And with the SL1000, we actually spent a few months trying to have a swappable battery. So not to say we won't ever do it. I also agree it's a great idea, and it would be awesome to be able to just like pop out a battery, pop in a new one, and now you have a full charge, just like a camera or some boards. It's just hard, and especially when it comes to waterproofing, it gets harder to make a sealable, swappable design. But one of the main things is the space. Like that was why we didn't do it on the SL1000. Is if you're trying to mount it under your board, there's such little space down there. So having a swappable battery, it adds, you have to add a screw-on cap then, and it makes everything a little bigger. So I think if we make a different form factor, then that allows for more space, like on top of the board or on a helmet or something. I'm definitely into that. And I'm super on the same page with like the right to repair. I think it's awesome. And all of our lights, not all of them yet, we're getting there.
Right.
We used to use a lot of glues. We're trying to use more and more screws so people can repair stuff. So like the SLFX, if it rips off your board or something, you can just replace the bottom tray. That's the stuff we cover under warranty, but we're definitely aware of that. With the SL1000, you can replace the battery if you can just solder it on. So there's some opportunity, but there's just different challenges that come with it, and you need resources and time to be able to figure out those challenges. So I think if we can continue to grow, that's definitely where I'd like to go. Like I have no issue with users being able to open up the light and see the entire design. Like there's nothing there. It's just hard to do it, and waterproofing is a huge demand, right?
Yeah,
like
it is.
Makes sense.
everyone
Of
wants
course.
waterproof lights so you can ride through a puddle, and it just makes everything a little harder to do. So definitely agree completely. It's just a matter of how to do it and when.
Definitely.
To be determined.
Yeah. We did look into it a bunch, and the other thing is always cost. Like, for more features, you're gonna have to pay more. So I
Right.
think it's like Shredlights are already pretty expensive because it's like a very specific design thing. So different features like that, like the SL1000 for example, it's $80 for one light with no replaceable battery. But now if we have a hot swappable battery, it's gonna be at least $100 because the whole thing's just going to be more expensive to manufacture, and then you have to buy separate batteries.
But
so
that's
I think
I wouldn't. That's the thing. I wouldn't mind spending my money, and that's me personally. I wouldn't mind spending my own money on a really good light. I see some people with some Frankenstein lights there, taped up and all that crazy stuff. And I'm like, they hit something like that shit's going in the air, like you lost it or whatever, So I don't really trust that. I'd rather pay for something, I charge it, I can go
Has the
through
features
water.
you want,
Yeah,
like this.
yeah. It's it's just quality, But yeah, there's, the
swappable battery is really
it's a really good
essential
idea.
thing that would be super helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. I'm not shitting you. What's the meaning of life?
What is the meaning of life?
I'm not shitting you.
You're the one to tell us.
The meaning of light, I can tell you about that. I think
Rebuttal the question. What's the meaning of light?
I would say to me, at about to be 29 next month, so I don't know shit yet. I'll admit
almost
that.
Where we
over the
going?
hill.
Where we going?
But I think the meaning of life to me is having fun, but not too much fun. And always find
Yeah.
that balance between having fun,
Yeah.
but not too much fun
Yeah.
to where
If you
you're
have-
taking
yeah.
too many risks or getting hurt.
You're going
or
to jail.
not- yeah. And like, you got to do not fun stuff. Like you got to plan for
Right.
the future and stuff too. Otherwise, the future's not going to be fun. So you're kind of balancing like, when do I want to have the fun?
Enjoying now, thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
But not thinking about tomorrow too much. Like you never know when your time's going to be done here. So I think also just, making time for that. So having fun, but not too much fun. That's what I'd put it down to.
There we go. Okay,
You heard it
let's
from
see
him.
what we got. Who's prettier, Kyle or Smalls? They put you on that tag.
Smalls.
We didn't come up with these questions.
Bro, everybody said the same thing, bro.
There's no competition.
Everybody said the same thing. And you know Smalls.
Yeah, Smalls,
I
you got
think
that one.
you know
Sorry,
as well.
Kyle, but I think
You got it locked.
Kyle would pick Smalls.
I know, right?
Check this one out. What is the professor role in Shredlights, and how do you guys meet?
That's a good question. I guess I'll give my perspective, and then you should give yours. too.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I think you
both,
should be able to
yeah.
answer this one, to be honest.
He's the chief professor at Shredlights, obviously.
The professor.
Carlos has been super helpful with anything. A lot more content and media, but also like coming out to Esk8 he worked the booth with me all day, which was super helpful in, setting up the tent, like answering questions, helping me sell lights, just super helpful for kind of anything. So I feel like I can kind of like ask him to do anything, and if he doesn't know how to do it, he can learn how pretty quick. But definitely a lot of the group rides, filming stuff. That's where I think we have the most fun together.
Definitely.
How we met was honestly just because you kept coming into the office. Like once he figured out what our address was, he just kept showing up and walking in.
Bro, I come in and he's working on a project, and it's like, oh, I can help you with that. And it's like, okay, take him. Send
I
me
think
some video.
where it really kicked off was when we did the video. So we did like a
Right.
customer highlight on the Shredlights YouTube channel of Carlos.
Right.
And he'd come in a couple times, and Andrew, who does customer support, was like, dude, you should film something with Carlos. Like, he loves Shredlights. He uses them a bunch. And, he keeps telling me how much they've like changed his night rides. Like, we should film a video. This is like perfect marketing. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So he came in to film the video, and I think that was when I didn't really know each other.
Right.
And then you were like sharing all this stuff on camera, and I was like, I didn't know that.
I think it's that night. Like, we kind of like bonded.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Like, I don't know, like he just like, I just keep showing up. Like, and he had a different project, and I was like, oh shit. Because I'm just happy to, be a part.
And you guys didn't say anything. When I
Yeah.
saw it, I was like, what the hell? That's Carlos. Like, that's dude, this is actually good. Like, that video was actually.
Bro, he called me and I was like, oh, well, I was thinking about doing this project. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking he wants me to like experiment with something. And he's like, I want to do an interview of you. And I was like, me? I was so confused. I was like, why? But yeah, but no, after that, like, we went to Esk8 we had a blast over there.
I feel like that's where we really got to know each other.
Yeah.
6-hour drive each way.
Oh
Yeah, stayed in a
my God.
hotel. Who knows what you guys did there, but we
Bro,
won't say anything.
crazy.
Be careful sleeping near Carlos.
Sleeping with Carlos is
Bro,
always entertaining.
Come on, tell that story, bro. You gotta tell that story.
You want to kick that one back on? But yeah, the story of you guys at the hotel, I think, was one of the best ones. Was it the first night sleeping in Vegas,
I
or?
think so,
Yeah, it was the first night, yeah.
bro.
I
I set the
remember.
tone.
It was only 2 nights, but yeah. We were staying together in Vegas at the Golden Nugget, and we had 2 beds. I tried to get one bed, but Carlos wouldn't. So we got two beds.
I
We
got
got two
that
beds.
effect on
He doesn't
people.
put out the first night.
So then we're going to sleep, and Esk8 is crazy because you're staying up late, and then you got to be up early to get to the event. If you're a vendor there, like you got to be there at like 7:30 in the morning to set up and get ready. And then it's like the days, Esk8's done, but then you're in Vegas, and all these sick people from the Esk8 community are there. So you want to stay up late, and you got
Right.
casinos and bars. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not ready to go to bed yet. So you end up like staying up late and waking up early. So we were short on sleep. But we went to bed, I don't know, maybe like 1 a.m. or something, and
I think we were with Corey that
we were like
night.
just falling asleep. We were like in 30 minutes after we shut the lights off, and he just gets up and starts like freaking out, like breathing really heavy, yelling. And so I'm like waking up, and I'm thinking like the room's on fire, so like shit is about to go down. So I'm trying to like prepare myself to get into action of some sort. I don't even know what's happening, and I like turn the light on, and it's like nothing's going on. It's
Bro.
completely calm.
We locked eyes.
And I look over at him,
And it's like,
and I'm like, "Are you good?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm good." He just lays right back
bro,
down.
I was in my mind, please go to sleep.
Yeah,
please go to sleep."
he's like, my eyes were wide open, and I was just like hoping.
I literally
he went to
like,
bed.
are you okay? Like worried about you? And you're like, "Yeah, I'm good." And like, I'm still sitting up with the light on, like,
Bro,
what the fuck's happening? And then I'm like, okay, like,
when he woke up, he was like, so about last night. I was like, God damn. Bro, that was hilarious. I was so ashamed, bro.
that's pretty
happens.
wild.
Okay, we got one other question here. Hardwire versions.
Hardwired version of Shredlights.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely something we've thought a lot about. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think the main limitation is like Shredlights are really universal. And that's kind of the beauty of that's why we have 4 different skateboard mounts and so many different mounts, is you can kind of like figure out a way to put them on any board. But once you start wiring into the battery, it has to be able to plug into the ESC. Plus a lot of decks are like sealed. So you have to figure that out. Like for example, the own board that I'm looking at right in front of me, it's all carbon fiber wrapped. So it's
Right.
like there's really no way to get in there. But boards where it is separate, the plastic is right up flush on the deck, so there's not really anywhere to get a wire in there. So I think for something like that, it would really have to be a direct collaboration with the Esk8 companies themselves. Otherwise, it just would be kind of messy. I think that's why I've always avoided it. Is like, I've seen people make really sick wired-in setups for their board, but then you end up with these wires everywhere. And I think like part of what makes Shredlights legit is it's really clean and it looks like it's supposed to be on your board.
Right.
So we don't want to have wires hanging everywhere. So for those of you that have been in Esk8 longer, I guess both of you guys got in after COVID, but
Yeah.
Boosted came out the Boosted beams, and those were like perfectly designed skateboard lights. The wire went under the riser into the ESC and into the battery, and you couldn't see the wire at all. But they were powered right off your board. Turn them on and off from the remote. So I think that's what most people want. But for Shredlights to do that, we have to basically just partner directly with one of the Esk8 companies. So I think that's difficult to do. And
Has any company reached out before?
we've talked to a couple companies, yeah. But it's just tough. Like the Esk8 industry isn't that big, so it's a lot of R&D time and cost, and then the outcome, isn't that big if it's only one company. Like we're always trying to target all of Esk8 because we kind of need to be able to
You need that.
have the whole industry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like there's not enough customers. So
Right.
like that's where the business side comes in, where it's like product side is like, yeah, that'd be awesome to have just wired in lights for a specific board, but it would only be for a couple boards, and then you're maybe selling 100, maybe 200 or 300 units a year, and then it's like, it's you just can't run a business on that.
Right.
So I think with our form factor, there's definitely like, you got to find that balance between like what's a good business and what's a good product. So I definitely understand like the charging separate lights is definitely tedious. And I agree. I think wired in lights would be sweet, but I think there's challenges that people may not think about, and like board manufacturers also have problems with that. So now it's like if you buy a board that has built-in lights and the lights go out, do you send the whole board in, or do you ask the customer then to open up their board and fix a solder just to fix the
That's
lights?
what I was gonna say. Is like
Yeah.
for somebody like
It's
me,
really risky.
It's not.
I don't like
it's,
that.
it's too messy.
The thing is, like,
That's the
keeping the
word.
lights and all the other
Yeah.
ESC and battery and everything separate is kind of nice, because then if one fails, the other doesn't. And like more often than not, lights are going to fail more than the board, right? So it would suck to have your lights fail and then have it in any way take away from the board. And then it's like, if your lights are wired in and your lights fail and you don't want to send your board in for maintenance, you still need lights.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there's like something to be said about having separate systems there. Yeah.
For
think that's a good
skateboard
answer.
companies, let you be their light in the darkness.
Really?
I think
You want to keep going on this?
I mean, companies have done it though. Like, you can buy boards. Like Propel just came out with some lights.
I saw that.
X-Way, the Wave has integrated lights. The Hadian has integrated underglow. So companies are doing it, but like, it's a little scary, honestly, as Shredlights, because like a lot of companies will just put their own lights in and do it themselves, and they don't really need us. You know, I think that's what they realize is like, why would we cut Shredlights into this when like we know how to do this? And the execution is good. Like the Hadian underglow lights they work
They're
great.
solid. They
And
don't-
it's like
they don't have any
it's
issues.
because Evolve designed everything together. Same with the X-Way Wave. Like, they design everything together. So it's like, again, like, we can't genuinely provide value by coming into there. Like, they're making the whole board, they're doing the lights. So ultimately, like, that's what you got to swallow as an entrepreneur is like, if it's best for the customer to have wired in lights and every board starts coming with wired in lights, like, I'm not going to be able to fight that, nor should I fight that. Because then it's like, I'm trying to like convince a customer that not the best option is the best option.
Yep.
So I'm not going to stop that. So that's why I've always seen like integrated lights is like, I think they're dope because like it does solve all the problems with Shredlights and it's sweet. But that's just the nature of like running a business is there's competition and like customers are going to want what they want, and that's
I don't see very much problems with
business.
Shredlights. You charge them up, they last the entire ride. I mean, how long are you really riding a night? I guess there's a few exceptions out there, but most rides for me are an hour to 2 hours. They're not any longer than that. Your lights are going to last the entire time.
I think it's just never having to think about charging. That's
Yeah.
nice. It's
Yeah.
like anytime you want to go for a night ride, like you never have to plan ahead. I think that's what people do. I think it's not about how long they're riding each time. It's just like the convenience of like never having to think about it.
I guess I'm a prepper, so I charge so much
Yeah.
before each
Charging your
ride.
camera,
And
right?
as you
Yeah,
said,
it
like,
just-
let's
that makes
say your
sense.
lights go off, they're not working or whatever. Like, how long is it gonna take you to repair that? Like, are you gonna miss a ride?
Yeah, and then you're still going to need other lights. Yeah.
So it's more practical. To
Also,
have,
like I was saying earlier, though, like board lights look cool, especially the underglow. Like the Hadian, honestly, to me, is like what most companies will do because it's sick underglow. But the headlights and taillights like are only so useful.
Yep.
And they do tend to blind like pedestrians and cars, so you got to be careful there. But if you're riding 25 miles an hour, like you need a helmet light. So that's why it's like, yeah, if all boards start coming with lights, we can figure out how to make a better helmet light. Like you always need more lights. I think that's like something we've seen is like people always want to add lights.
Actually, that's another of the questions here. If you are gonna have a mount for the board that it's GoPro, like kind of like fitted.
Yeah, it's like a way to put a GoPro on a Shredlight mount.
Yeah, but for the light, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
for like the
Yeah, kind of like
drop
half
decks.
the mount, and then the connection, just like the helmet.
Yeah. Well, the issue you've tested that actually.
Yes.
Is especially with the SL1000, it's heavier that it just kind of you can't get it to stay up. It's too heavy. That's the thing with skateboard lights. Like they take so much vibration, it's insane. So screwing a light on your helmet or a GoPro on your helmet with that connector, the swivel connector, it doesn't take nearly as much vibration. But once you put that on your board, especially with street wheels, like you can't have that.
It's way too much,
It's just gonna
especially if
break.
you hit something like with the
Yeah.
wheel or something. Which that's what happened to me. Like they just, automatically, it's
Yeah.
too much force to it.
But there's always, I think that's like the exciting thing about living in 2023 is like we have 3D printers, we have access to manufacturers, like we have everything. So it's like, I always like to believe that like there is a way to do everything.
Right.
But as far as like putting the GoPro sticky mount on a board with angled trucks, in my experience, it just always ends up falling. But it just needs more time and effort to make it happen.
Right. I got one more here from our friend Esk8 Unity.
Oh, Fred.
I know that guy.
He
He's
actually
crashing on my couch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't. It didn't like May.
he sent me
Oh,
a
yeah, when you came
whole
down for the
video for you to
fisticuffs.
watch. Yeah.
Really?
No, check this out.
He's gonna be joking about my cat, I bet. Oh. Oh.
Oh. Okay.
Nice. Some
Okay.
XL SOFX.
So they are flatter,
Yeah.
right? But he had to tape them.
Yeah, they're gonna fall off.
I don't think they are
That is
waterproof.
sick though. Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea is they're
Those are
flatter.
dope.
So he said, that you should go with something like that, flatter, for the underglow. No battery bank needed. Rechargeable USB-C. Longer, flatter, maybe Velcro mounted.
Mounting's always the tricky part.
Yeah.
Because that's with the FX, right? It adds a lot of height. Totally. I think that's to me like 2023 in a nutshell for Shredlights has been like developing the Bluetooth technology, but by no means are we tied to like we can only make these S-Lock lights that we already have. It was like we already had the FX. Every product costs a lot of money to make, especially like tooling and design and everything. So for us, it was just only feasible to do Bluetooth if we could put it into our existing lights because we already had all the tooling and packaging and everything else all set up. But now that we've got the Bluetooth technology there, like if you look on the internet, like not many companies out there can you pair 10 lights together and control them all simultaneously from a phone. Like this is like pretty legit technology in any industry. So,
But people
we've
don't
done the hard
understand
part.
that. It's good that you're saying it
Yeah.
because people
Yeah,
don't
like-
they don't take the time. Oh, it's like let me see how many light companies have.
Try and find another light company. You can pair 10 lights.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So that's what 2023 has been so exciting about is like these are just proof of concept with the stuff we already had, and now we can do stuff. We can do anything. Like
Right.
we can do that form factor. We can do a helmet. We can do anything. And now we know how to have. Like we've written all the firmware and software on how to communicate different lights. And that being said, like a big part of the design was having OTA firmware updates because we know there's like a lot of improvements to come.
Right.
So a sneak peek. One thing that I'm really excited about is
You
we're
heard it
working
here
on
first.
right now when you look at your lights when you look at your lights on the app, it just shows you a percentage.
Right.
So it's like if I have the SL300 and it says 50%, like I have to remember like, wait, what's the battery life of this light? And then if I start adjusting the brightness, it's like, okay, I know if it's in 100% brightness versus 50%, like those are gonna be different run times, but I have no idea what that means. So 50% battery is kind of useless to me. I can't actually make any decisions based on that. So something I wanna come out next year that we're just starting to work on is have it display it in terms of time. So then if it's at like half brightness, it'll be like you have 2 hours left.
Right.
And then if I increase it to 100% brightness, it'll be like you have an hour left.
That's clutch
makes
right
Then you can
there,
like
bro.
actually use the app to like plan out, okay, like we got 3 more hours of riding, I'm gonna decrease my brightness so that my lights will last all the way or maybe a little extra, and you can start to like actually make decisions. And I think that's what's exciting about the Bluetooth technology is like, once you pair it to an app, we can put so many sick bells and whistles into the app. It's just gonna take time, but like this year like is just the beginning, and it's like the platform's here now, and there's so much stuff we can do, and like the more people use them, the more feedback we get, the more we can do. Like Fred, hey, I want this, I want the Shredlights app
Yeah, he
with the
made a
SLFX
video
firmware,
and
but I want it
everything, bro.
in this form factor. Cool, all right. like there's a lot we can do from here. So I think like 2023 has been a huge year for Shredlights, and it's really like setting a bigger foundation for the future.
Definitely.
I think so too.
I think it's gonna be exciting.
I think so too.
Especially if we can have something, you know, cool for Esk8Con next time.
Yeah, Esk8 Con 2024. Look out for Shredlights.
We'll be there. Yeah, Carlos will hopefully be there.
Yeah, I'll
Jimmy,
be there.
we'll find out.
Bro. Bro.
I know you'll be there.
Bro,
I'll definitely be there, 100%.
This year is gonna be like, this next year is gonna be crazy.
Dude,
Because
this
I feel
next
like
year
we
is gonna be
connected
bigger
more.
every year.
Yeah.
And hey, shout out to Mike and Joe. Not Joe, no.
No, Mike.
Jacob?
Mike and Jacob, yeah.
and James.
Mainly Mike and Jacob.
Yeah.
Yes, and James, yeah.
James
like,
did a lot too.
Yeah, but for them to like have the vision to bring Esk8Con to life, and in the first year, like no one was really on board, and it was super small.
Right.
And they still made the best of it, and it was a legit event in year one. Like that's insane how much planning and risk and investment that takes. Like they're putting up the money
Right.
and planning this stuff months in advance, and it's, I don't know, it's really cool for the industry. So
Yeah.
shout out to
No doubt.
Definitely.
to everyone at Esk8Con that's
I
making
think
that
I was
happen.
taking back this
I
last
think,
year.
yeah,
I
every
was
few
able-
years it's
yeah.
just gonna keep
Yes.
growing.
I was able to, like, you know, put, you know, faces to names, you know,
Yep.
like, because I
The trading cards?
Yeah, the
Trading cards were
cards.
so dope.
Bro,
Dude, the
like,
number one. I still
didn't-
don't got mine, by the way.
I-
Anybody has mine, I will fucking buy it from you if
Bro,
you got it.
I didn't have one, bro. Like, you know, I think it's because you bought my ticket, you know.
No, that's why.
Yeah,
That's the only
I think
reason
you
why.
have to buy a ticket.
No, I think it was
you just
something
gotta
they
be dope.
looked into.
Oh.
Yeah. You know
just
why
gotta be
Life
more
with Jimmy
dope.
got his own card? Life with Jimmy got his own card for a
It
reason.
hurts.
Look out for Professor 2024.
Hey, Jacob, just this face like this.
What? He's like, no. Don't put Shredlights on it.
This has been fun.
Absolutely.
I think we had a great time. It's time to lock it up for the day. So thank you for coming. Really appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And then
Good shit on getting this started.
I know, right?
Jimmy, thanks for having me.
And then I'll see you guys on the next one.
Number 3.
Directly
Look out for
from
it.
San Diego, the Esk8 Cali Show.
You said the Esk8 Cali Show?
It's Cali Esk8 Show.
Whatever.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Bro, I always mess it up. Like, in my
You
mind.
do.
Like,
You
and
do.
I came up.
Hey,
I
but
came
that's
up
the
with a
beauty
name.
of it. That's the beauty of it. It's like we can't
Whatever.
be perfect.
Yeah. There's whatever. They won't know.